Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Blue Collar Garage. I'll be working on a 2016 Dodge Journey, and I'm going to be replacing the front struts along with new sway bar links. So go ahead and pop your hood. Okay, so with your hood popped, as you can see, we cannot get to the strut mounting bolts on either side. So it looks like we need to remove this plastic piece here, and it looks like it's in two pieces. So you got the top part and then the bottom part here, and it looks like it's just held in by these little plastic retainer clips here. So let's go ahead and remove that stuff first. Alright, so on these plastic tabs here, you need to get a screwdriver or a tool kind of like this, get up underneath the round part here, top part, and then just pry that out. And you can see it just kind of came out as one piece there. And so it looks like we got 4 more tabs. So we're going to have to pull this one out. And then another one right there by the windshield wiper. And then over there we got 2 more. So let's go ahead and pop those out. And even though these end ones have a Phillips head on them, it's still pretty much the same concept. So get your tool, get up under there. And you can see that one came out really easy. And then moving on to the other one here. So now with all those tabs out, you should be able to just pull this off. Alright, so with that piece off, looks like next we need to remove the wipers in order to get this plastic piece off here. And before I go ahead and just pull them off, I want to make sure I get these lined up correctly. You can see this kind of line in the windshield here. And you can see that our bottom part of the wiper is pretty much touching that line. So I'm going to use that as a reference. But also what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a dry erase marker and just kind of make a line here underneath the main part, so we can line that back up when we go to put it back on. And then same thing on the passenger side here. You can see, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a line right there as well. So we'll go off of that, and then I'll do the same thing. Just put a dry erase marker here. Some people use tape, you can use tape as well. So now let's get the wipers off. And just grab a flathead. Should be able to just pop this little cap off here. Then grab a 15mm and we'll take this nut off. And then you may want to grab some PB Blaster or WD-40. Go ahead and spray in here, because a lot of times these wipers get kind of seized on here and they're hard to get off. And let's see if we can pull this off now. It should just pop off here. May have to wiggle it quite a bit. It's kind of like that. And then I like to just put the nut back on so I don't lose it. So now it looks like we got 5 more tabs. One here, there, and then one up atop there. And then also double check your dry erase marks too. I redid that one because when I took that wiper off, it kind of scraped it a little bit there. So it looks like on this style, it's kind of the same thing. You just get under the top portion here, pop that out somewhat, and then get up underneath. And that pops out just like that. And then to the right of that middle one there, it looks like we got one here I didn't see. So I'm just going to take a Phillips. Yeah, and that's just so brittle it won't even turn. Let's just see if we can get up under this one. Yeah, that one's so sun damaged. May have to just put a new one in that. And that's what that looks like. Now with all those off, we should be able to lift this off of here. Next we need to remove the strut bar, and you got 4 13 millimeters we need to remove on each side. So it looks like we got a couple clips that we need to remove from the strut bar in order to lift this out of here. So it looks like there's one right here. This should just pop out of there. It's like the Christmas tree style ones. One on the end here. Now you should be able to just lift this off out of here. So since we'll be jacking up the front end here, I'm just going to put a block behind the rear wheel. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start on the passenger side here. So I'm going to put my jack right underneath the pinch weld here, and we'll go ahead and jack it up and get a jack stand under there. Then go ahead and grab a 19 millimeter. Let's go ahead and remove the wheel and tire, and a lug nut key if you got one. Alright, so here on the passenger side, I went ahead and sprayed some of my strut bolts here with some PB Blaster just to help loosen them up, because you can see these are pretty rusted. Also sprayed this sway bar link one, even though I don't really need to. Since I'm replacing this sway bar link, really we only need to take off this one, because this one will come off with the strut. So same thing, I'm going to go ahead and loosen up this 18 millimeter back here, and then I'm probably going to have to use some vice grips to hold this to keep it from spinning. You can see on this one here, there is a spot where you can put a torque spin on there to help stop it from turning as well. I think just a vice grip's going to work just as good for that. So like I said, grab your 18 millimeter. And let's see if we can get this loose. And as you can see, that whole thing just keeps turning on me. So like I said, go ahead and grab some vice grips. Go ahead and snap those on there. And then it should catch on this tie rod here to help hold it. Pull that nut off. And I don't know if you guys can see, but you can see that sway bar link is just toast. You can see it's all rusted out, the boot's torn. So that's another reason why we're replacing it. Next, we're going to go ahead and take off the brake line that's attached to the strut there. And we only need to do the bottom one, which is going to be a 13 millimeter. Now go ahead and grab yourself a 21 millimeter, and we'll remove these two nuts here. And then you may need to hold the back side here if it starts spinning on you with a 21 millimeter wrench. Next, we need to go ahead and remove these two bolts. Most likely they're going to be stuck. You can wiggle them back and forth, try to get them loose. Or you can just take your old nut, throw that on there, and we'll try and loosen them with the hammer. That way we're not damaging the threads on there. And then before I pull those all the way out, I'm going to grab a bungee cord or something to help support this knuckle. That way we don't put a lot of pressure on the CV axle or anything. So I'm just going to take a bungee cord, try to go in here, and then just go around one of the lugs here maybe. And try to get that back up there. So now that'll support the steering knuckle here. And then you should be able to pull these out the rest of the way. And you can see those are both the same. So you don't have to worry about getting those mixed up. So now up top here, grab a 15 millimeter, and we'll go ahead and loosen up these three here. Now we'll go back down because you can see that kind of dropped. Alright, so that dropped a little bit here. Now let's see if we can break it free from here. Watch your brake lines there. Pull it out of here. Probably be easier if that sway bar link was off, but just like that. So as you can see, here's my new strut assembly. Went with the whole assembly because it's a lot easier. Plus, I know these Dodge Journeys had a lot of problems with the strut mount making noise, the bearings and everything on them. So it's just easier to buy a whole assembly with everything included. And then I got these off of Amazon. They're the Monroe Roadmatic 182509 is going to be your passenger side. And then your driver 182510. And you can tell the sway bar links here. Went with Moog, which I also got off of Amazon, K750382, and that's the same part number for both sides. And then there's what that looks like, and you can see it includes grease fittings for each side, which is kind of nice. And like I said, I got these off Amazon, so check out the description. I'll put a link into these exact parts. And I'll show you again one more look here at the sway bar link. You can see how these ones just, the boot's torn and it's just all rusty inside, and you can see how loose that is compared to the new ones here, where you got to actually put quite a bit of force to move it. So let's go ahead and stick this up in there. Alright, so let's go ahead and stick this up in there. And you may have to finagle it in here a little bit. Try to get everything lined up top here. Kind of like that. Now let's go up top and put our nuts on. So up top here, go ahead and grab your new nuts that they include with the strut. And then from down below, try and lift it up. And go ahead and get these 3 in place. We'll tighten them here all the way and torque them in a little bit. Strut bolts. And let's try and stick them through. You may need to lift up on this to get the holes to line. And then if you have to, you may just have to tap on them with a hammer. Go ahead and take your bungee cord off here. Then grab your nuts. And then you will have to get an alignment down after you install these, because you can see there's kind of a pivot point down here at the bottom. So I'm trying to, you can kind of see, it's kind of hard to see, but right there down at the bottom you can kind of see where your old strut mark was. So I was trying to get it as close as I could to that. And then we'll go ahead and tighten these up here. Now I'm going to grab my 21mm and just kind of tighten these up. Not too tight, because I'm going to go ahead and torque them. Then go ahead and grab your torque wrench, and you're going to want to torque these to Dodge calls for 103 foot-pounds. Grab a 13mm bolt. Let's go ahead and put this brake line back on. You got this little tab here that goes in that hole. Then back up top, I'm going to go ahead and torque these 3 to 44 foot-pounds. Next, go ahead and grab your sway bar link. And we'll go ahead and stick it through the top one here first. Then what works best for this is probably to grab an 18mm wrench, and then your 18mm socket, and the wrench can go on the back side here to hold that, and then go ahead and tighten. So once you get those tight, I just went as tight as I could pretty much. If you want to get the torque wrench, that'll be 35 foot-pounds on each one, but it's really hard to get a torque wrench back in here anyways. Now let's go ahead and just shoot some grease into the sway bar links here. Then we can go ahead and put our wheel and tire back on. Alright, so before I go ahead and lower it, I'm going to go ahead and do the other side really quick. It should be exactly the same as this side. I'm not going to record it. If there is any changes or differences, I'll let you know. Alright, so here on the driver's side, you can see I got it all done. It's exactly the same as the passenger side. No differences. And just show you real quick, here's the old one on here. And you can see this one was leaking a little bit, this strut. And then also, you can see this sway bar link was even worse than the other side. And then same with this one here. So let's go ahead and get the jack. We'll jack it up and get the jack stand out of here. Go ahead and grab your torque wrench, and you're going to torque your lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds. Alright, so with our wheels torqued down, now we can go ahead and finish the stuff up here. Then put the strut bar back on. Grab our 13mm, and we'll tighten all 8 of these down. I looked and I didn't really find any info on torque specs for this strut bar, so I'm just going to go ahead and tighten them up by hand. And with your strut bar in place, let's go ahead and snap these clips back in here on the bottom of the strut bar. Then go ahead and grab your plastic piece here, and just take note. You can see these little clips. These are going to go down in these little holes here as you're doing this. Go ahead and grab all your little pins and stick them back in there. And then don't forget the weird shaped one here, how it curls down in there. Snaps in there. Then we'll go ahead and do the passenger side wiper first. And then again, you can see my red mark there, and I did that at the bottom there. So that one's going to go right about just like that. Get that on there. Grab your 15mm. Go ahead and snug that down. Same with your driver wiper. And lastly, grab your other piece that goes on the top. Alright, so that's going to do it for the video. I'm going to go ahead and take this for a quick test drive, and then also get it scheduled for an alignment. And again, this was a 2016 Dodge Journey RT all-wheel drive. I went ahead and replaced the front struts along with the sway bar links. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, check out my other videos, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.